Hi everyone, today I am going to talk about vagus nerve stimulation, which is a big and fancy way of saying we're going to learn how to relax. I'm Paige Abbott, registered psychologist. Stay tuned for more information. So recently I have been doing more reading and research on the topic of the vagus nerves. There are two of them, from my understanding, that run through our necks. They are responsible for a lot of different functions in the body. I cannot tell you any of those functions at the moment other than the relaxation response. Obviously, my research is not in super depth, so I will be very honest and open that at this video, I'm speaking almost more as a fellow human being than I am an expert or a psychologist on this topic. Trauma, vagus nerve activation as a means of coping with that is not my professional area of expertise. What actually drew me to learn a little bit more about the vagus nerve was my own personal journey. I realized that I've been through some shitty things in my life, and they're not majorly shitty things by comparison to what some people have gone through, but they were shitty enough for me that they left my body in a heightened active state. I'm pretty body aware, I'm pretty tuned in to what's going on within myself, and to be honest, I didn't like what was going on within myself. I could just feel myself activated. And for those of you who have maybe been in this space before or are currently in this space, you probably understand that, where you just feel more keyed up and more energized, and not in a nice way, not in a woohoo, I'm ready to go, but in a kind of hyper vigilant, tense way. It's like the body is prepared for action and reaction, right? It's waiting for something bad to happen because that's what it's been keyed to look for from previous experiences. If you don't have this sensation, if this is an experience that you haven't gone through before, that's awesome. That's great. I'm happy that you haven't been in those situations that have led to that bodily response. Nevertheless, tuning in and activating that relaxation center certainly isn't going to hurt. I think most people are carrying a little bit more stress and more activation of the stress system than they would like. So these activities can be helpful for everybody, I believe, but can be particularly important for those who have or are experiencing that heightened biological response to trauma or crisis or perceived danger, whether it's real or not. So that's what led me to start doing some research. I literally started Googling, like, how can I calm my body down? I think I specifically was looking at how to calm the nervous system because that's what it felt like. I knew it wasn't coming from my conscious thinking in my brain. I wasn't sitting there going, oh, I'm so scared or I'm so nervous about something. I actually felt in that space, I was pretty calm and relaxed. Things in my life were currently at a place where there's no immediate or impending threat or dangers looming. I know what anxiety feels like, and I wasn't anxious, but my body was physiologically aroused, and it was more keyed than I would have liked it to be. Essentially, I like to think of it as my baseline. I was sitting at maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10 if we think about a 1 to 10 scale for our reactions to fear or to stress. So if your baseline now is at a 3 or a 4 rather than at a 0 or a 1, then anything that comes into the system, even if it only adds a notch onto that. Now we're already sitting at like a 4 or a 5 out of 10 rather than sitting at a 1 or a 2. And that can make a huge perceptible difference in how people feel and how they go about their daily lives. So this is just good information to have for hopefully promoting some empathy, that when you're going out and about in the world, you might be running into somebody whose baseline is already at a 6 or a 7 because of some of the things that they've experienced. And now that, cut off in traffic, or, something that gets said at the grocery store lineup, or being shortchanged, that can put them up to an 8 out of 10, which for most people is a difficult level to maintain and respond to in an appropriate way. So I think this is the basis of a lot of those disproportional responses that we see, not just in public, but even in relationships that we're involved in. So this can make or break and make the difference in a relationship where, somebody might have left a dish in the sink, and the partner now gets really upset about that. Well, it's probably not about the dish in the sink, it's that their system couldn't tolerate that. I mean, there could be other reasons for that as well, but it typically shows that there is that higher level of activation already in the system, and it makes it difficult to cope. Later on in this video, I am going to show you an activity and an exercise that I came across that I've been practicing daily for multiple weeks now, probably at least a month. And it's had great benefit for me personally at reducing that level of physiological activation. I feel like I've moved from a baseline 3 or 4 now back to probably a baseline around 1 or so, even 0 sometimes. So I really feel like personally it's helped me reset my baseline. I'm not carrying that same level of physiological activation, which has been hugely helpful for me. If it's helpful for you, that's great. If it doesn't end up helping you, that's okay. Keep trying. This is just one of potentially many tools that are available and out there to help you to get to the place that you want to need to be for your mental and emotional health. One other tip that I did come across for vagus nerve stimulation, actually a few tips. I was reading that deep, regular breathing can be helpful for vagus nerve activation. So the vagus nerve controls our relaxation response. So these are essentially hacks to activate that nervous system channel. So we want to turn it on, because in turning it on, we're activating the relaxation response, which is the counter system to the stress response, which is what we're keyed to engage in for longer than is healthy from daily stresses as well as from traumas and things like that. So how to activate that vagus nerve? One way is through deep breathing. I did a previous video on some deep breathing where I suggested the strategy of an in for 2, out for 4, or in for 3, out for 6, so kind of a half breathing. You breathe in for half as long as you exhale. Some people like matched breathing, so doing a timed breath of in for 3, out for 3, or in for 4, out for 4. Really focusing on that deep, rhythmic, diaphragmatic breathing. So really tapping into that diaphragm in the gut to really feel that rising and falling with those deep breaths. We don't have to go around breathing this way all the time. That would not be functional. But to do this 5 to 10 times, a few times a day, can start to activate that vagus nerve in the relaxation center. Healthy diet is also part of that. So a lot of the common sense wisdom, some gentle body movement, healthy diet, these are also ways to start to activate that relaxation center. These are all good things. I find though that some people, they may be blocked from doing those things because of lack of motivation, the issues that they're experiencing. So their motivation is low, and therefore those bigger lifestyle changes aren't acceptable to them. So the two strategies that I really liked, the one I'll show you in a minute here is the just eye movement activation exercise. The other one is to activate the vagus nerves by cold stimulation. So that can be by going outside if it's quite chilly out, just not wearing a thick sweater or a parka, and just standing outside for a minute or two to get that blast of cold air, and then go back in, carry on with the rest of your day. That cold shot is supposedly designed to activate our relaxation center. Are you starting to think about all the videos you've seen over the last few years about people doing daily cold showers? I didn't get it. I had no idea why people would want to take cold showers. It seems like torture to me, but I have tried it a little bit because that was one of the suggestions. It's personally not one of my favorite strategies, and I have talked to some other people who've also tried that and had actually an adverse reaction. So be careful and cautious. Know yourself when you're using these tools and strategies. And if anything seems harmful or counterproductive, stop immediately. And that's true with anything. And then maybe get some feedback from a professional to guide what might be helpful strategies that don't come with harm or side effects for you. But if you are interested in the cold shot activation, another way to go about it is to do it in the shower. If you don't want to take a full shower in cold water, then the recommendation is to turn it down to the cold water for the last 30 seconds or so of the shower, just to get that cold blast to activate that relaxation center. The preferred technique for me has been the eye movement relaxation. You will get a walkthrough of this in a moment here, and I will demonstrate the activity. So I'll pause and let you watch that video, and then I'll come back to wrap up this video. What you're going to do is, by lying down, you're going to move your eyes to the right until you feel a gulp, a sigh, or a swallow. Then you'll look back to the middle, then over to the left, and doing the same until there's a physiological response, a yawn, a gulp, or a swallow. This is a sign that the vagus nerve has been activated. Enjoy. So there you have the eye movement relaxation activity to try. I've been doing this at least once daily. When I first started doing it, I was trying to actually do it twice a day. Do it at some point kind of midday or earlier in the day, as well as at the end of the day. And over the last few weeks, I've ended up doing it right before bed. And I'm finding that the quality of my sleep has changed. I've always been a pretty good sleeper, but I'm noticing now my dream world is more memorable, it's more active, which is also a sign of a higher quality of sleep and rest. So I'm grateful for that. And as I said, just that physiological activation during the day has changed. Now, if you're doing this activity and not experiencing the sigh, the gulp, or the swallow, the yawn, when you're doing that activity, that's okay. I would say keep doing it. Think about it. If you're at like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 baseline activated, it may be an imperceptible start to that relaxation response when it's kicking in. But as you keep doing it over time, you are going to hopefully start to notice the physiological benefits of that. So if this activity right now is taking you from a 7 down to a 6.5, might not be noticeable, But over time, as you start to come down lower and lower, that's where you are going to start to notice the benefit and the difference. Others that I've talked to who have tried this activity, they have noticed that they just initially feel their body kind of relax a little bit. So wherever they're laying down, they just notice they kind of slump into the couch or the bed or the floor just a little bit more. And for them, that's the sign that the relaxation response has been activated. As with anything, I do believe things have to be done pretty regularly and they need to be practiced to have maximum benefit. So that's why I would say don't just do it once and then write it off as being not helpful. Obviously, if it feels harmful, you may not want to continue at this point anyways, but if it feels just like a neutral experience, I would say keep trying it at least once a day. Just give it a try. It's low effort, it takes minimal time, and if it has benefit over time, then that would be awesome. I hope that you can keep supporting yourself in learning how to activate that relaxation response. I am not going to tell you to just relax or go relax, because I find those statements to be almost very demeaning and very disrespectful to the individual's experience of stress. I hope that you will keep working on accessing that relaxation response, but remember that it is just that. It's a physiological response that we need to tap into. It doesn't mean that you're doing something right or wrong. This is accessible and available to you. It's just a matter of finding out the tools and the ways to help get you there. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. I hope that you'll share it with anyone that you think it might have value for. Many of my clients who are watching might be going, oh yeah, we've already talked about this. When I get excited about things, I like to share them with as many people as I can. So hence the reason that I'm bringing it forward in this video to share with as many people as I can. I feel bad that I saw this in a video about a month ago, and unfortunately I do not remember where it came from, so I can't give direct credit to that person or that video, but I am forever grateful for this because it has had tremendous benefit for me. So thank you, whoever you were, who came up with this technique and who promoted this technique and was sharing it. I really appreciate it, and I hope some of you will get benefit from it too. Take care and bye for now.